We have the three special teams studs: Kate Safris, Tory Taylor, Keith Duncan, and we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of every kick counts and count the kicks tonight. Kate, the story's been incredible. Tory, Keith, everything you guys are doing as well, incredible. But yeah, Kate, kind of give us a rundown of how all this started.
Oh goodness. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to start a few years back. I actually lost my daughter in 2001. Emma was born with congenital heart defects that we did not know that she had until right before she was delivered. And at the time, as anybody who goes through a tragedy, what do you do? How do you go on? I was probably about all of your ages and had an 18-month-old son at home. My husband was in veterinary school, and we were literally just trying to survive having had that loss. I had a moment I remember very vividly sitting in my driveway, and I snapped at my husband, and he turned to me and said, "Kate, you cannot be this angry forever." And I was really angry. But I knew that wasn't something that could define me, right? I was faced with this tragedy and I had to make good out of it. But I had absolutely no idea what that would be, because at the time I was just trying to get out of bed in the morning. Fast forward a couple of years later, and I met four other women in the Des Moines area who had all lost babies to stillbirth. Meaning that those babies had died during the third trimester, but they were perfectly healthy babies. Unlike my daughter was not healthy. These babies were perfectly healthy, but they had maybe a cord accident or something wrong with the placenta, but there's nothing wrong with these babies. And so we met and just honestly just trying to get through our own grief. And we learned pretty quickly that the only thing was really going to help us get better is to make sure this didn't happen to anyone else. And so we started to talk about, what can we do? Is there a way we can prevent stillbirth, right? Because all of us were told that it was really rare. One of us was told it was like winning the lottery, which is really interesting to say, isn't it? But we soon learned that 1 in every 169 pregnancies ends in stillbirth. We're like, that doesn't sound very rare to us. And so we started to investigate, is there anything that can be done? And we soon learned about monitoring your baby's movements in the third trimester, so counting the kicks. We started to work with a local ad agency, and we said, how can we start to educate moms? This is like free. It's easy. There's no testing. It's just awareness. Who can we start to tell about this? We want to save one baby. And as we were talking through all that, we didn't even have a nonprofit at the time. We just wanted to be 5 moms that were going to, save a baby. That was our goal at the time. And one of the first people we reached out to, as we were talking about how do we get people to pay attention to us, right? Who kicks? How can we market this idea? And one of the first people to reach out to sorry, my dog's in the background here. We reached out to Coach Ferentz and said, we want to raise awareness about this campaign that we're starting called Count the Kicks. And would you do a radio PSA for us? And he said yes. And that was clear back 2006, 2007. And so he recorded a PSA for us. And it was encouraging moms to, just like on the field, we pay attention to the statistics. Same thing you should do in pregnancy. Every kick counts. So back in 2006, 2007, Coach Ferentz said those words on a radio PSA. We hadn't really educated anyone else in Iowa, and we really didn't know what the rest of our campaign would look like. But because one great man said yes to us, we got started. Count the Kicks came from that. So that's our stillbirth prevention campaign. We've got a free app to have moms track babies' movements in the third trimester. And nearly 15 years later now, we're nationwide, and we've saved babies in, gosh, I think we're up to 35 states and 5 countries last I checked. And last year, we started Every Kick Counts, which is where these two gentlemen come in. Looking back to Coach Ferentz's words in that first PSA, we said, hey, punters and kickers, could they help us spread the word and raise funds for our campaign as well? So that's where Keith and Tory kind of come in. My long-winded story there.
That's incredible. Keith, you've kind of been, you talked about it when you came on last, but your role in Every Kick Counts, you kind of spearheaded, I don't know, it seems like you spearheaded some things with Tory and kind of firing up kickers also around the country. What's that journey been like, and how did you kind of get involved?
Yeah, so post-graduation Iowa football, started out a kicking program, Keith Duncan Kicking, essentially, doing private lessons and camps for kickers starting in Iowa and now throughout the Midwest. And I met Will, her son, and said, hey, Will's got awesome opportunity to kick. He's really good. So that led to lesson after lesson after lesson. And found out Count the Kick through Kate's conversations. And I did a similar event in high school with a Cancer Research Foundation. And I think we kind of just talked about the idea and brought it up and said, hey, this would be an awesome idea to implement for Count the Kicks. The play on words is perfect. We met with the founders and we kind of got it done. So I think with the help of starting it initially with the kickers that I've trained and then kind of outreaching through there, I think it was a great start, but then we wanted it to scale on a larger level, which is where I think Tory comes in and did a phenomenal job this year. Was kind of getting the ground started for college and then eventually NFL. But it's the funding, I think, and we've said this since day one, the funding is great. And we did a phenomenal job with that this year. But it's also, how are we going to educate not only these kids, but we're going to reach a new demographic with males, where I think our messaging with Count the Kicks has previously been fairly directed towards females. So now Every Kick Counts is finding a new demographic in males and younger kids. So it's the education there and the outreach with a new demographic has been awesome through the help of, again, a Tory. And I hate to give him so much praise, but he's been a great help. And Every Kick Counts this year. So that's my short answer.
Yeah. Tory, your campaign really took off. First off, who came up with the punting is winning shirt or the slogan?
So that was where you can actually buy the punting is winning shirts at Raygun, which is kind of a Midwest, I guess, like clothing and like apparel organization or company. They reached out to me. It would have been after the Iowa State game last year, I think. I kind of started off the season not too bad, and when you're going well, everyone kind of jumps on the bandwagon. But yeah, whatever. They kind of reached out and just said, hey, like, we've got a couple of t-shirt designs. Would you be willing to partake in them? We'll give you like a certain amount or certain percentage, blah, blah. And I just messaged back and just said, no, sorry. Not interested, but like, thanks for reaching out. And he just said, oh, no worries. He said, and I just explained to them that I can't, being an international student, I'm unable to participate in any NIL stuff. And I kind of explained that to him. And then he said, well, what about if we donate a certain portion to charity? And I just said, oh, yeah, sure. But my biggest thing was I didn't want anything to do with it, right? I just said, yeah, you can use my name and number, do the punting is winning t-shirt, whatever the fuck you want, blah, blah. And can you just send it off to the children's hospital? And then he said, yeah, sure. And he said, there's actually an organization called Count the Kicks. I was like, well, fuck, I've never heard of that. But then I said, if you recommend it, and I'll kind of take your word for it. And then it really just took off like that. I think I posted it on the on the Thursday or the Thursday or Friday before. I don't know who were playing the third week. It was maybe Kent State or Colorado State, whoever it was that week. And Pete, my Twitter was just going nuts. Like, hey, I bought your T-shirt. Like, I can't wait to wear it this weekend, blah, blah, blah. And then I think it was within about a week, we'd probably sold maybe a couple $1,000s worth, which was quite crazy because I thought to Mike, and I've probably said this a few times, that I was like, if we can honestly sell like 10 T-shirts or something and send a few $100 off to charity, then like, great, that's awesome. And then it really just took off. And then I think by the time the season wrapped up, we'd sold about, I think $12,000 or $13,000 worth. And then just before Christmas, that was when Kate was blessed with my presence, and yeah, we met in person.
It's been a year blessed with your presence, Tory.
Yeah. So yeah, met up at Raygun. I met all the ladies from the Count the Kicks organization, their families. Well, some of their families were there too, and a little baby named Liam as well, who'd kind of been impacted quite significantly by the Count the Kicks organization, and just everyone that kind of went out there and bought a T-shirt. So yeah, that's kind of in short story, and then in short form, sorry, but and then yeah, Keith kind of started Every Kick Counts, just probably because he saw how famous I was and just couldn't bar it, and then yeah, that's how it kind of started, and then yeah, like I've said a few times, it's just been an incredible journey, and I think I know my own campaign and T-shirt sales, I think we raised just over $50,000, which is
Wow.
just fucking incredible, to be honest. Pardon my French, but yeah, it's been unbelievable.
Is that just with the T-shirts or like the link that you had for Every Kick
So
Counts?
the T-shirts and the links, and it's guys like yourself, right, who've sent large amounts of money, which just everyone is like so grateful for. And I know I've said it to you boys a couple of times, but again, just really, really grateful for everyone that's kind of donated. And I think what I've kind of realized the last few months is that it's really, I know from my outlook, it's really got nothing to do with the money. And I'm sure Kate will attest to this too, but it's more so just the word of mouth kind of stuff. Like even with just the fact that we're talking about it now, that's how you kind of reach those that may not have heard of it. This is obviously an Iowa football podcast, so most have probably heard of it, but sometimes it's literally just like one or two people that just kind of tune into something, or for example, like Kate and I were on the news last week. You never know, there's probably a couple of people that don't really have Twitter, they don't really listen to podcasts, but they've kind of seen that video and going, oh, like that's pretty cool, and then they get looking into it, and then they start telling people about it. So whether it's one or two people here or there, it might only be one or two people learning about it a week from what Keith and I are doing, and Kate as well. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and like I've said a few times, I know the ladies and Kate are always like, oh, thank you so much, blah blah fucking blah. But I enjoy it just as much. Honestly, it's great for me, and yeah, that no word of a lie.
Yeah, you're a ladies' man now.
Yes, I know.
He's got all kinds of extra moms, just what he wants.
Yeah, the milfs.
Oh my gosh, Kate, I'm sorry I'm joining late. But I just want to say, I don't know how you deal with these two, especially Tory. I mean, just off the podcast.
I am
hilarious.
very well entertained. Yeah.
I'm sure.
As anyone who's ever texted with Tory Taylor would know, you are quite entertained the entire time. Not
Absolutely.
too much offense me. So
oh yeah.
All good.
I'm sure. I mean, I was his roommate for a year, and it was a lot.
I can dish it out pretty well. I mean,
yeah. No, absolutely.
So yeah, I can handle myself around the Aussie.
Good.
I think the best thing was when you said around your guys' ages. That is quite a range with Tory.
Oh, you're right. Oh, we can talk about
Tory's getting gray out
old
there.
guys, and then if we want to talk about Keith, we have to talk about height, right? Is that what I'm? Short jokes?
No, we're not talking about 12-year-olds. We can't mention height with Keith.
There's the one with a muffin top.
The poor man's
Mate, I can fix that. You'll always be short.
Personality makes up for it.
Yeah.
And the vest.
And the vest. And the Patagonia
Okay.
vest.
These shirts that you sent us here, I got it right here. The one
Oh, yeah.
Max is wearing too. These are the
Absolutely.
most comfortable shirts on earth.
It's
They
my
are.
favorite shirt ever. Like
Ever.
I love it.
Some shirts. Yep. That's Raygun did those for us too. Yep. They are good shirts. We love
So those are on sale.
Yeah, actually the one that Raygun has, I think, on their site was our original one that says it has a quote around every kick counts and then it says Kirk Ferentz underneath. That one I know is available on their site. We had to make them a bit more generic for our campaign because not everyone all around the country, may think Coach Ferentz is as great as we all do in Hawkeye country. But so every kick counts is our shirt that we have for our campaign, and all of our athletes got one of those.
Is the one in store just as comfortable as that one?
Absolutely.
Oh
Same
man.
thing.
That's
Same
awesome.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
So you guys got on Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago. Or last week.
Yeah, we got on Sunday Night Football, which I teased my son and my husband that I felt like I had touched Sunday Night Football and the Big Ten Network. I mean, we were featured on that. Tory reminded me it was because of him. So I gotcha, but yeah. So we were really, it was incredible to see on Sunday Night Football. It was the Colts Cowboys game. We were actually connected with three athletes from the Colts. Matt Hawk, who's the punter, Chase McLaughlin is the place kicker, and then Ryan Kelly is the center. And Ryan and his wife Emma lost a baby girl, Mary Kate, a year ago on December 16th. And they were really public with their story because they were actually filming with HBO. The whole Colts program was filming on HBO. They had done their gender reveal on HBO. They were active on social media, and then they lost her. And so they were faced with, what do we do now? How do we share this reality that we're facing now? And so we had followed their story for a while and were able to connect with them, and absolutely incredible, brave humans. And they said, we want to help. We want to make sure everyone knows about Count the Kicks. What can we do? So we actually went to Indianapolis. We did some filming with them, and they, along with Chase and Matt, all had Count the Kicks and every kick on their cleats from My Cause, My Cleats. And we were fortunate enough to have the Kellys' story featured on Sunday Night Football. So to see their logos on their cleats it was really surreal for me and for all the founders. We're literally just 5 moms trying to save a baby, and all of a sudden we saw the product of work we contributed to on that national scale. So really incredible.
If you guys haven't seen that story, you may have. You should read into it. I was the whole drive home from Des Moines last week, Kate. I was thinking of what you were telling me, and I was like, that's just fuck. Like, just to actually experience that, like you obviously did yourself, but when you were telling me, I was just like, just the whole like physicality of it all, and like just actually like seeing the baby like that small, and the way I was just like, fuck. I remember just driving home going like, holy shit, that is like fucking mind blowing. So if you haven't read or watched or listened to the story or anything like that, it's definitely worth viewing. It's very, very interesting and eye-opening, that's for sure.
Well, and what you guys are doing, what all of you are doing, like you are raising, for men, especially, I can tell you, my husband would never have imagined he would have dealt with something like this. So oftentimes men are really lost in the conversation about pregnancy and loss, and which is really ridiculous because what they experience is every bit as much of a heartbreak as it is for the mom. And, you oftentimes hear men say, you know, I was so worried about like taking care of my wife and making sure she was okay. I didn't really have time to take care of myself. And I remember that very much with my husband. So to have someone like Ryan Kelly, you know, a center for the Colts, to stand up and say, you know, this is what we've experienced is just, first of all, so courageous, right? But just will really do tremendous things for bringing awareness and making it okay for men to talk about these babies that they've lost. When our grandparents, like when my grandparents were having kids, like when a baby was stillborn, they were taken away and you didn't say their name, you probably never held them. Okay. There's nothing wrong with these babies. They're perfectly healthy. They're just not breathing. And so to go through that and have that loss and then not have that acknowledged. So I love that we're talking about it. And by athletes talking about it, I can't even put into words how impactful that is.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because it was probably up until like the middle of this year, I'd actually never really thought about the impact that it had from like a male standpoint, like your husband Steve,
Yep.
and like Joe and things like that. Like that shit that I honestly had never even like thought about, because I'd only met you ladies and spoken to you ladies as well. But it's just probably just as hard as it was for them. But
Absolutely. And
not that I have experienced anything like that, or anything like that whatsoever. But you're always thinking like, oh, I've got to make sure that I'm there for them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's
Yep.
like, ooh, fuck, like,
yep, that's
got to be there for yourself as well.
Exactly right. And like Steve would tell me, he was in vet school at the time, so he'd drive from Des Moines to Ames, and he'd get home and like I'd have an awful day and I'd be crying, and then I'd look at him and I'm like, well, why aren't you sad? Like, which is part of this dynamic that you go through as a couple, right? And Ryan and Emma were talking about that too. It's like, well, and he'd be like, well, I feel like I've got to be strong for you. I don't want to break down because I'm trying to take care of you. And then he's like, I cry all the way to school every day and all the way back. And then I get home and I feel like I have to keep my shit together for you. Right. And that's exactly what happens. The men are really forgotten in the conversations. So it's so important to talk about it. I think that the neatest video we've ever done with Count the Kicks, probably the most impactful, was we actually had a gal come in who interviewed all her husbands.
Yeah, I love that video. Fucking,
yep.
That's my favorite. No offense, Kay, but you know that's my favorite.
I know.
Sorry.
But I mean, I'm telling you, like, that's what the power of you guys have as men is, when you're willing to talk about something that people aren't used to hearing come out of your mouth. People listen. That's why people are listening and paying attention to Every Kick Counts, because all of a sudden I can look at a 16-year-old boy who's talking about, you know, I still, you know, my son knows what we went through as a family, but even when I listen to him, I go, wow, I can't believe you're articulating that. And then you listen to some of these kickers that maybe their family hasn't experienced it, but they're able to empathize and support our mission. It is, I really don't have accurate words to say how just heartwarming it is. Of course, everyone's support's incredible, but when you see it from, I guess, from a group that you wouldn't expect, I think it really stands out. So I'm just so grateful, Max and Jack, for all you guys have done to support us, and not just in your donations, but whenever you talk about our work and ask Tory or Keith about it, it makes such a difference.
Absolutely. No, I was actually had a question, but like stemming off of what you're saying, like it's such a great organization. It's so cool to see like what you guys are doing. It's awesome. And like when me and Jack first found out about it, I'd say like it was pretty big, but I mean, from that point to now, how much it's grown and how fast it's grown and like the platforms it's gotten to. Like, how would you say the journey's been to seeing it from where it was then to now?
Oh, incredible. Like I can remember when, the first time, going back to the first time that my son Will had a lesson with Keith. Will was a soccer player. I thought I was taking him for one lesson. Like we'd met Keith at the Holiday Bowl like 2 years ago, and he'd gotten his picture with him. So I'm like, oh, we got this picture. My mom texts me. She's like, Keith Duncan's coming to town. You should, send Will for a lesson. He'd never kicked a field goal, So that was, 18 months ago, basically, right? And so Will took another lesson. And then I remember saying to Keith, hey, I want to tell you about something Coach Ferentz did for an organization I'm involved with. And he could have left it there, right? He could have listened and be like, oh, that's cool. No, Keith comes back with, that's really cool. And I have an idea, right? And so that's where Every Kick Counts started. And honestly, Tory did the same thing for us. I think I said this in another interview, but we set up that press conference that we did at Raygun. It was almost exactly a year ago because we wanted to show Tory the impact he was making with those punting is winning shirts. And, like he said, Raygun could have sent that donation off. Tory could be done with it, right? The money's going to a great cause. Understandably, awesome. I've done my job, right? Tory comes and meets us in Raygun. We literally thought like we were going to say, hi, Tory, and Tory was going to be like off, right? Get a couple pictures. And we sat there and listened to him talk about our cause. And he talked about it more eloquently than we could. And truly, like we all just looked at each other, we're like, what just happened? Like after we left, Tory doesn't even know this, right? Like we went around the corner and we're all just like, we're in tears. We're like, what's even happening? Like, why are all these people coming to listen? And why are these people that it's like when somebody doesn't have to care about something and they do, that is, it's just, I'm clearly speechless, but that's what Tory did, just like Keith did. They could have been done with something, and instead they went, what can I do? And they are the reason that this journey has happened, right? Because if either of them hadn't said, what more can I do? We wouldn't be where we are. But instead, every athlete that Keith works with wants to be involved in Every Kick Counts because Keith wants to be involved with Every Kick Counts. So it's the people, it's the relationships. I feel like, it's everything you guys learned in Iowa football, I think, right? As an outsider, it's caring about people and the relationships and having a good culture. And I really, either they pick really good people or they create very good people, or both, because we have certainly been the beneficiary of that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it was cool. I don't remember the timeline of. Tory's come on a few times, but when we first had heard about it, Keith came on as well to kind of talk more about Every Kick Counts. But just in our eyes, like Tory offline, like we usually talk for, he can talk for hours, but but it was just so cool. Like it was a no-brainer hearing what the cause is for and like seeing how it had impacted not only Tory's life, but like a ton of moms, a ton of families, like dads who are upcoming, like it impacts all their lives. And to see how it impacted Tory, it wasn't just like some kind of like PR stunt t-shirt idea, like nothing. Like, even today you can see how much it's impacted Keith and Tory in their life on a day-to-day.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, absolutely. That's like I was saying before. I enjoy it just as much, and I like Kate knows this, but I'm a big Elon Musk guy, and his big thing is like how can you make change? Like, how can you impact the world, right? Like, this is someone who's got all the money in the world, and he's always trying to invent and try and create new ways to improve people's lives. And I've kind of like, that's kind of a similar motto that I've kind of gone in with this, is like, how can you just make a little bit of change, right? And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. It's just, it's one or two people here or there. It's like I said, maybe no one will pick up anything off this podcast tonight, but it might be the next one and the one after that. And it's literally just those couple of conversations that goes such a long way. And yeah, like I've said a few times tonight, I love being a part of it because it means just as much to me now. It really does.
Well, and you guys think of, you'll know this when you're dads one day, right? But like, I think pregnancy is, it's centered on the mom, right? Like, I can't imagine, like, as a dad, you'd feel like, what can I do, right? Like, I don't feel a connection. Like, until that baby's born, there's not a lot, right? Which is what's cool about what we have, because I think what we hear from dads is, with Count the Kicks, like, I can be like more connected with my wife's pregnancy. I'm more, I feel like I have purpose and I can, help ensure the safety of my child. So it's really, really neat to hear men get to take ownership of something, and it's something so simple, right? Like it's free, it costs nothing. Our app's free. You download it and you keep track of babies' movements once a day, and that, you have the power to save a life by telling someone to download an app, right? Like, everybody can do that. And but again, the voices, when the Ryan Kellys, the Tory Taylors, the Keith Duncans talk about it, it's a lot more impactful than hearing from Kate Safris. So
I agree. No one wants to hear that voice.
We need an offline Kate and Tory podcast.
The unfiltered.
Literally.
You should have seen my son when, like, you're on a podcast with Tory. Really? His eyes were like, Mom, what are you gonna say? Like, if it's not embarrassing enough to have your mom on a podcast, not knowing what might come out of her mouth to Tory is,
No, it's fine. He's got nothing to worry about.
But yeah, that's cool. Wait, how does the app work? I mean, like, in our shoes, we don't have anyone.
Yep.
We don't know how it works. We're just getting involved. How does that setup happen?
Literally a free app in any app store. You can get it on the Apple Watch or the iPhone, Android. Literally, we tell moms, sit down about the same time once a day, and every time you feel your baby kick, you just tap a footprint on the app, and the app records how long it takes to get to 10 kicks, right? So once you're done with your 10 kicks, you're done with your session for the day. You do the same thing the next day, right? And so what research shows is that you're looking for patterns. If normally, because just like us, we all have different levels of activity, right? And if we're not feeling great, our activity level changes, right? We might lay around on the couch because we don't feel well. It just makes sense when you talk about it, right? So same thing's true with a baby. If there's something not going right, one of the red flags is they aren't moving like they normally do. So by keeping track once a day of how long it takes to get to those 10 kicks, we tell moms and dads, you're looking for a pattern. So if normally it takes 10 minutes to get to 10 kicks, and then all of a sudden you're doing your kick track one day and it's taking 2 hours, we want you to call your doctor. That's it. Just call your doctor, right? We're not pretending to be the experts. And then the doctors can look and, bring you in for some tests and make sure baby's okay. Oftentimes baby is okay, but it can absolutely be the first sign that a baby's in distress. And all my 4 other founders all remember their baby's movements slowing down significantly before they lost them, but they didn't know it was a problem. They didn't know to pay attention. They didn't know it meant anything. And that's what we hear from parents who've had that loss. I didn't know. And I think as women are oftentimes like, we don't want to bother the doctor, I don't want to call them in the middle of the night, right? And our message is, no, call. If there's a problem, those doctors are getting paid to answer your calls. Make the phone call and let them tell you. Don't sit there and say, well, I'm not sure, right? Because all you have to do is show them your app. They'll look at the patterns and then they'll do tests if they need to. And we have so many stories of parents that have told us, I did that, and my doctor said my baby's here because I spoke up. So it's just that simple,
yes.
right? It's like tap a footprint on an app.
Right.
And that's it. So
That is awesome.
That's incredible.
That is so cool. Yeah, another question for you. So, like we talked about earlier, it's taken off a lot, and obviously, it's really started out centered in Iowa. Des Moines area expanded. So, like seeing the platform expand into other like Sunday Night Football, other athletes on different teams. Are you able to see like if that reach is making it to like those states?
Oh,
And if
that's
so,
great.
is there a lot of different states coming in and
Yeah.
joining this movement?
Yep. So, well, first of all, we say we're nationwide, so we obviously are with the app, right? But we also have like printed materials that are available for doctors' offices, providers all over the country, right? And so we have over 20 states where our printed materials are available for free to any provider in their state, because maybe we work with a state health department or we have a grant or a funder, right? And then all those other states we're working to bring on board, because we don't want doctors to have any excuse, right? Give your patient a brochure, tell them about the app, right? So that's a lot of what our funding is doing too, to educate parents in that way. But so what we're able to see as we bring more states on board, obviously we're able to see app downloads. We get those baby safe stories coming in, right?
Yeah.
So after like that Sunday Night Football segment aired, our website views went up 80%.
Wow.
Our app downloads went up 30% in 24 hours. So that is the power of a platform. And what's really unique for us too, it's like we have to educate new people every single day, because every single day the new round of women find out they're pregnant. So it's not like we can ever stop, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully, our goal is that this just becomes something that every woman knows to do. Everybody knows now to put their baby on their back to sleep because it's reduced SIDS, right? So that's just a standard. Feels like most people know that. Well, we want to get to the point where everybody knows to track their baby's movements, trimester, count the kicks. It's that easy. So, and we're getting there. Like we really are getting there. So
yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's I have to pinch myself to see where we are every time I see something new. And it doesn't matter. Like it can be a 16-year-old kid or somebody with a huge platform like the Kellys. Like to me, it's all just mind-blowing that someone cares enough to pay attention to something that we were just sitting around in a coffee shop 15 years ago trying to save one life, and now we have all these advocates. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it helps that Tory was a weapon out there this year too.
He was, but we're not supposed to build up his ego.
No, it's already there.
I have orders from home that that's all his mom told me. No, don't tell me he's very good.
That's the key. You can't say anything unless there's a time where you absolutely have to.
Right. And okay, so that on a personal note, that's my added benefit of Tory's involvement, right? And actually Keith's involvement too. Like they have incredible parents too, right? Because
Right.
I've gotten to know both of their parents, so it's no doubt that they both turned out like great humans. But yeah, the Taylors, the Safrises are going to Australia in March, so
Oh, that is sweet.
That's so fun.
yeah, we couldn't stay away. Stuart Taylor kept sending me Instagram videos of places I needed to see in Melbourne, and he said they're not going to stop until I see a plane ticket with your name on it. So,
So if you're going to Australia in March,
yeah,
would you try to get in touch with any doctors there and possibly bring it overseas?
yeah.
Is that one of the 5 countries?
No, but actually, Australia is actually very progressive on they're one of the countries that is actually doing things right with stillbirth prevention.
Not surprised.
Not surprised. I know. So they're actually
What a country. What a fucking country.
United States is actually way behind other equally developed countries. So we're playing catch up. But
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, we'll see if we can get some of his pro kick guys to help us out once they come over here. Will's going to get to do a little kicking and at pro kick, so we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, how was that? Did he take a visit, or what was that? I saw you guys chatting it up with Tory on the phone. Yeah, on the phone.
Oh, we did. Yeah, Will took a visit a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we got to stand down there behind Tory and watch him up close and personal.
What a fucking privilege that would have been. Coop, don't shake your head, mate, because here's the thing. I talk, but I fucking walk the walk, mate. I fucking back it up, so I don't care.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm just kidding.
we can talk about
that was pretty cool.
I mean, aren't there some like other kind of punts we could talk? The one that you tried to run, we could talk about that one.
Oh, we can talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's past the week after that, so Tori's not as sensitive anymore.
Oh, I was a little sensitive for maybe 24 hours.
Maybe. You know what your mom said?
What?
She said, we were texting back and forth because they couldn't watch it because for some reason they couldn't get it. So I said, well, I'm just worried he's hurt. She goes, the only thing hurts is ego.
Nah, so the dude like fucking cracked me in the ribs, and I was walking off the sideline going, shit, I'm never doing that again. And then like once the physical pain had kind of worn off, that's when the mental pain came on. That's when I was like, shit.
You have to feel it actually feels like to play a real position.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to listen to you with that, Coop. But,
well, my husband and Steve,
you're right.
Dad were texting back and forth. Steve was trying to say, he's like, I don't know. I wouldn't think he'd have done that on his own, but maybe, I don't know.
Nah,
so just back and forth.
Yeah. I did.
You had a lane if you didn't run a 6:040.
Well, no, it's because I hesitated for a couple of seconds. Had I just gone for it, I would have probably got it by a couple of yards. I didn't actually realize until the next day that I was only 2 yards off. I was like, shit, like I was actually pretty close. Had I not hesitated, but it's easy to say after when you're in the moment. You're not really, just I wasn't really thinking sharp at what I was doing. But yeah, it was a learning opportunity. Put it that way.
I'm just glad I could bring that up.
Okay,
I hope it doesn't like you should. I still think you should try and do that again in the future. Like,
yes.
you're
that has to
a
be
little more now, and like a year's left to go by because people will still remember that. But after that, once people forget, then you can try it again.
So I think there was one punt against Nebraska where literally for like a split second I was like, oh, there's no one rushing, but I was like, I'm never doing that again. Like, period. I can't do it.
I'm being so seriously. Besides that game, you probably could have ran it any other game and been perfectly fine.
Yeah,
they were eyeing you pretty good.
Yeah, they don't really rush. they just kind of
Yeah,
sit
you've
there.
got so much time back there. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
You can like
Yeah.
make a sandwich, do a dance. You got
Yeah.
all the time in the world. I'm like watching these
Yeah.
poor high school punters. Like, come on, got it easy out there, Tory Taylor.
And you claim you have an arm too.
You know, I
Oh.
hate to say this, but I have been firsthand witness to this. Tory does have a very good arm.
No, so I'll be honest, right? I can throw it like far and accurate, but those short little like throws, I'm terrible at, honestly. Like I'd rather sling it like 40 yards, like to someone on the run, than like a little, well, I don't know what you call it, where like someone like runs across the middle, like close.
Yeah, a little like cross. Yeah, you wouldn't want that.
Yeah, no,
It's a
I
simple
wouldn't want
throw.
that at all.
Like, we used to. I mean, we practiced it every Friday when I was there. I mean, I'm sure they still do it, but like Tory, it's if it is there, he has the ability to do it. I mean, you threw it once, right? And it was like a bullet. You threw
Yeah,
a laser to the kid. It looked like Spencer.
because when I first started doing them, I was putting them like so I was throwing it so high in the air that I was like, oh shit, someone's probably gonna light him up. So might have to tone it down a little bit and throw it a little bit more direct.
But would
But
you?
thanks, Kim. They're very nice words.
Is that
Sorry?
what you do in footy? I'm still trying to learn.
No,
You
nothing
wouldn't throw
like
it.
that. You can't throw the ball. It's illegal.
Oh, you can't throw it at all. Okay.
No, you can't. No. So yeah, there you go, guys. There you go. Dual threat.
Okay, we had Drew Stevens on like 2 weeks after that run, and we asked about it.
I did listen to that podcast. He's a funny dude, Drew, isn't he?
He's hilarious.
Yeah, dude.
He was like,
so you know what I really like about Drew? He's very much so like me, like likes to be relaxed during the game. He's someone that I can joke around and like fuck around like during the game with, because you couldn't really get that with like Shudak and stuff like that, or nor Keith during the game. Could get it with Ryan, like he was very relaxed and stuff, but he obviously left after last year. But yeah, I love Drewski. He's a funny guy. Yeah, he says certain things like that story about Spence. Isn't that just the funniest shit ever?
The best.
I could see Spence just like freaking out after that too.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure he was probably like saying stuff, laughing, and then he said that probably was like jaw dropped.
It's he's very good at those jokes where someone will like say something and it'll kind of be all quiet, and he'll almost just say it under his breath, and then everyone will just start fucking kissing themselves.
Oh yeah.
Do you kind of know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. Is Drew involved in every kick counts or no?
No, he's not. So that's something that I'm gonna talk to him about next year, just because I kind of wanted to get him involved, but it just being his first year, I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna let him be. I don't really want to put, not that it's any added pressure or anything like that, but I was just like, you know what, I just wanted him to do his thing.
Yeah.
Because he's. I'll tell you what, man. I've seen Keith and Shudak kick the first 2 years I was here. He's an exceptional talent, that's for sure.
Yeah, he proved it this year.
Yeah, and a funny dude.
So with one game left, are people still able to donate, like through your link and everything? Like nothing's changing right now, right?
Yeah, nothing's changed. We'll kind of finalize all that stuff because it's based on a point system as well.
Right.
So some people have, I think I kind of estimated about 100 points, and then I think we'll reach that, Kate, or maybe even go a little bit over. So a lot of people have kind of gone like their 50 cents a point route, or $1 a point, or a couple bucks a point. So all that stuff will kind of be calculated in due time, and kind of once the season's all done and dusted. So yeah, but to answer your question more directly, Coop, people can still donate. You can always donate, and really appreciate it from everyone, especially you guys.
Yep, super grateful. That's really awesome. It makes a huge impact for families.
Question for both of you: what is one way listeners can get involved? Like coming off the pod, how can people get involved and help out?
Well, there's obviously the donation route that people can go. But like I said, the biggest thing is word of mouth, and I feel like I've kind of emphasized that a few times and mentioned it quite a bit tonight. But yeah, just word of mouth, because that's how the message is spread. Just communication. So the more people that know, the better, and not just women, but men too, because like Kate said before, men are just as heavily impacted as well. And sometimes it's the guy that knows, and the lady's got no idea. So yeah, really, just to answer your question, word of mouth is probably the most important thing, as much as money and all that goes a long way. I feel like in terms of what's more valuable is communication.
Yeah, I would agree with Tory. It's like there's so many ways to help, and that can just be a matter of, sharing a message on social media, right? Or telling somebody you know is expecting a baby, or, obviously the donations go a long way to help us continue to spread the word. The other thing I would add is, we've been always really blessed with businesses who have supported. I know Estella's here in Iowa City has been great to Tory's campaign. Actually, Peyton Sanford's doing the same thing for us, and they've been so generous to match donations. So as we go into this next year, there's always opportunities for businesses to find a favorite player and match donations or anything like that. So yep, lots of ways to really make an impact with not a lot of work, right?
Spot on.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see the journey. I mean, everyone, it seems like, has gotten very involved. I mean, Tori's a dynamic personality.
That is.
So it definitely helps. But yeah, it's been great to hear about how lives are impacted. So anything we can do to help as well, we would love to.
No,
Absolutely.
we are super grateful for the platform. Just having the ability to talk about it and to have you guys spread the message to your podcast listeners is just really phenomenal for us. So we're incredibly grateful.
Happy to do so.
Tory, last question. Not a semifinalist, but first team All-American.
Yeah, how'd that work?
I mean, you guys know just as much as I do, to tell you the truth. I mean, I probably said a few things that I shouldn't have said earlier in the year. I think that's the reason. But in all seriousness, I really don't think I had that good of a year, to tell you the truth. Like, I know the first few games was like pretty impactful, but later in the year I didn't really punt that well, so I can see why. But I mean, at the same time, there's a few names on that list that I was like, Jesus Christ, do you actually even watch games? But yeah, not much you can do about that. Not too worried about it.
And the guy who won, you beat in the punt bowl.
Right?
Yeah, but it's all about consistency across the year, Jack.
It's all right.
We watched that game from our living room with your parents. So Rutgers game.
Yeah.
You won the Rate Guy Award on our pod.
That's right.
Oh, that's all that matters too.
Yep.
Your name was trending and on Twitter.
I know. I was getting tagged in something every 5 seconds, I reckon. It was nuts.
Because you got screwed. Everybody knew it.
That honestly, I turned my Twitter notifications off that day. It was ridiculous. It was unbelievable.
I mean, you're like Pat McAfee's favorite player ever.
Well, when he mentioned that on his podcast the next day.
Really?
Yeah, Ryan texted me. He's like, yeah, you got to go listen at this stage. I was like, all right, I'll go listen and see what he says. And yeah, he was going on about it. But no, I can see why, Coop. You can't please everyone.
It's all right.
Hey, you still had a great year. The points
as
are
long
going.
as I've got your tick of approval.
I think you're going to end up perfectly fine with your punting career.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
You got to be reaching retirement soon, though.
I'm pretty old, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. I forgot about that.
Oh, I am. I know.
I remember when we like first hung out with you ever, was in me and Chuck were in Bread Garden and we saw you and we were like, remember that?
Yeah.
That was elite. And I realized like, dude, this dude's like 27 already.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the oldest Aussie punter who's still playing? Like, how old's Crop?
Well, he actually just did his ACL, so he's done for the season now. Not that, I mean, I know it's over, but I think he was 31 maybe.
So could he use it as a medical? Could he go 32?
I mean, maybe. I'm not sure, but I doubt it. I'm sure he's going to move on with his life, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he could if he wanted to, probably. But, yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
Impressive.
All right, well, we can wrap it up. Kate, Tory, Keith is gone now, but yeah, thank you for coming on. We'll be
Of course,
tweeting
no,
out.
thank you guys.
Yep. Thank you very much, you guys.
We'll be
Absolutely.
tweeting out Tory's link, and yeah, anything we can do to help. Yeah, donate if you want. We'll drop Tory's link, and then yeah, download the app as well.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Appreciate you guys. Thank
No
you.
problem. Thanks for coming.